Today we are going to get to know some more of our local award recipients from the Mountain View Chamber of Commerce in California. These amazing leaders exemplify the transformative leadership that is necessary to create the change we all wish to see in this world. Today I'm joined by Laura Blakely, a partner with the GCA Law Partners here in Mountain View, a former GCA Law Partners, and a 2019 Mountain View Award recipient.
That's right.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And we also have Leanne Relfs, a 2016 award recipient, owner of Helming Auto Repair, and also a former chamber board member and a community connector that just loves to connect people and collaborator. I am assuming there.
Yeah.
Great to be here. Thank you for joining me today. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with us maybe what you wanted to be growing up, and if you're pursuing what you wanted to be, what was something that you were passionate about growing up that you knew you just had to be?
I'll go first. So growing up, I was always, an outdoor player. I wasn't like an indoor playing with dolls and all of that. So I was super physical, running in the fields and all of that. And I wanted to be a superhero. So my pretend play was pretending to be the Bionic Woman or Charlie's Angels and all of that. We were solving crimes and helping people and all of that. And then when I was in high school, I wanted to be a psychologist or something in that mental health field. And my path took me through different turns, and I didn't pursue that. Although later in life now, I am getting my master's in counseling. So I am, my dream is coming true. I'm finally getting to do what I had set my eye on long ago. And I'm really excited about that.
That's incredible. What caused that shift in yourself to really follow that?
It was really interesting. I'm still working. I still own an auto repair shop with my husband and doing that and going to school at night. But I always wanted to get my degree. And I had taken classes along the way for years and years, even before I had kids. I'd take a class a quarter at the local junior college, and I just wanted to get my degree. And so an opportunity came up with this startup, study.com in Mountain View. And I signed up, and through their program, I got my bachelor's degree. And it was like, woohoo, I did it. I was so proud of myself for getting my degree. And it was like, that's all I need. And I felt like I can now just, close the door on that, move on. And then like 8 months later, I was like, I think I want to get my degree to be a therapist. And so my next chapter, whenever we're done with Helming's Auto Repair, I'll be a therapist and, a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I'm really excited about that.
Oh, good for you. And I love that you're celebrating that with yourself. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
We are also proud of you, Leanne. I remember having a conversation with you during Zoom. I'd read on Facebook that you did it, and somehow or another, we had a phone call, and it was like, go Leanne. Yeah. I was thrilled, as if it was my kid getting, his or her degree. Really, really proud of you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thanks. I love it. Laura, how about you? What were you passionate about?
I was passionate about reading. I loved books, and I had a high school English teacher who said, if you really like language, I like language too, that law would be a good thing to pursue. And my mom was very encouraging that girls should get a career. And so I went to law school, and honestly, I never loved it. I looking back now, I probably should have pivoted and done something a little bit different. But I will say it gave me a lot of flexibility and space in my life to do things that I do love. And so I now serve on our local K-8 school board. I serve on the boards of several nonprofits. I work with kids. I work with other families in the community. And I think if I had a different career, I probably wouldn't have had the flexibility in my schedule and the ability to kind of design my day as much as I did with law. So it's given me the space to do the things that I have really enjoyed.
So if you could have followed that passion with reading, do you think that you would have maybe become a teacher?
Maybe a
or-
teacher, maybe a librarian. I love
Librarian.
books. I mean, one of my favorite things in the world is to put a little kid on my lap
Uh-huh.
and read a book with them and,
Yeah.
you know, point out the pictures and have them sound out the words. And I love reading. I still read.
Yeah.
So yes, that's a possibility.
Yeah. Wow, that's
The
great.
road not taken.
Yeah,
Right.
that's okay. I think we always go down the path that we were meant to go, and the people that come in and out of our lives, you're meant to come in and out of our lives to teach us things, right?
Right.
And,
It's never too late.
No, it's never too
It's
late.
never too late.
Yeah.
Speaking of teaching you things, have either of you had any transformational mentors in your life, and how did they impact you?
Wow, I had a couple of really impactful mentors. I mean, one was an English teacher years ago who really believed in me and helped grow me as a writer. I never talk about my writing, but I do love to write, and it's something that came very easy to me. And when I started in this class, it was 7th grade, and it was an 8th grade class. I got placed in this 8th grade class, and it was really, really hard at a level that I was not familiar with. And I was getting D's, and she coached me. And then finally I was getting B's and feeling much better. And just my writing took off from there. And so that was one really impactful coach. You know, another really strong mentor that I had was Larry and Lori Moore, who owned and operated Larry's Auto Works in Mountain View. And they were competitors of ours, but I really saw them more as mentors, and we all worked together. We're all in the same association. There are enough cars on the road for everybody, and so it's not like we were competitors like that, but they really were really helpful about showing us, you know, best practices, how to, you know, collect hazard fees, and helped us with spreadsheets and all this stuff. I mean, they've been doing this for years and years and years, and they really were the gold standard. And I just appreciate all the time that they took, you know, helping us be better too, so that our whole industry would be better.
And don't you find it interesting with mentorship? I think a lot of times people think that mentorship is like a one-way linear, right? And it's actually circular, and you gain from them and they gain from you. And you created a lot more through the collaborative mentorship relationship that you had. We're able to make a greater positive impact in the local community, don't you think?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Laura, what's you?
I don't know that I have had a single mentor. I've had lots of people along the way, but my biggest mentor was probably my mom. She just really inspired me. She was one of 3 girls at her high school to go to college, and she joined the military during the Korean War and became an officer, and just always had a career and inspired me to do the same. So, yeah.
Wow. What's the best piece of advice that maybe she or someone else has given you?
She had several. A lot of quotes. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. That was one of them. And then also to just get, you know, try. If first you don't succeed, try again. Like, dust yourself off.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always going to work the first time, but try again. Keep at it. Work hard.
Yeah. Work ethic. Well, that's.
Well, and that, you know, failure isn't necessarily failure, right? You can learn so much more sometimes from things that don't go the way that you were hoping they would.
For sure.
Than the ones that did succeed the first time.
I know. I have learned my greatest lessons through my failures. They stick with you, and I think the learnings come into our life to get us out of our comfort zone and elevate and grow.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. How about for you, Leanne, have you had certain barriers that you have found as in, well, I would assume that auto repair is male dominant. Have you had certain challenges or barriers that you've come up against, and what were some things that you used to push yourself through those?
Definitely in this industry. And it's better now, just in 2023, you know, it's a different climate. But when we started running Helming's Auto Repair, it was 2001. And, you know, I became more involved in 2011. I didn't have a lot of credibility because I was a woman. I also didn't have a lot of experience, but I learned a lot. And so I still have the problem where salespeople call on the phone and they ask to talk to the owner. And I'm like, you are? And then they pause for a long pause, and then it's like, oh, okay. And they launch into their spiel again. It's like, okay, yeah, you've already lost me, you know? So, but with male clients at first, especially, well, I mean, I don't mean to like pigeonhole, but older male clients who aren't used to women in the industry knowing what they're talking about, they would, you know, at first kind of be suspicious, but then when I would start talking, they would be like, wow, you really know what you're talking about. It's like, yes.
Shocker.
I know. Because I do this every day, you know? So that has been, you know, it's a challenge, but it's also fun at times too, because yeah, I really do know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And when people are standing, you know, waiting in line for, you know, to check in their car or whatever, and I'm going over with the customer what we did to their car and why and what the problem was and everything, and they're like, wow, you really know this industry well. And I'm like, thank you. You know, I've learned a lot, you know. So.
Oh, my goodness. You know, it always fascinates me when you talk with leaders around, women leaders, that women that are leaders around the globe, that they face that a lot of times, and where they'll be talking to a group of individuals and they'll look to their male counterpart next to them, or even someone that is actually that they are supervising as the expert, as opposed to the woman that is in the seat of leadership.
Right.
And you know, it's just that unconscious bias that we still kind of face in a lot of industries. And I think talking about it and acknowledging it and calling it out, I think men, you know, a lot of times they don't think about it. They don't mean to be, you know, that way. It's just how we were brought up. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think, you know, men are aggressive, women are bitchy.
Right.
I do think it's changing, and I'm super grateful for that.
Me too.
But when I first started, you know, as a young professional, like what we wore, we had to wear suits every day. You know, it had to be certain colors. You had to be sort of overcompensate. It was harder to be a woman. You almost had to act like a man. And I think that's changing a lot, because I think now there's still unconscious biases. We all have them. But people realize that multiple perspectives on problems yield better solutions. And so I think people want to have women on their team. They want to have people of color on their team. They want to have people from different backgrounds and different professional backgrounds. Like on nonprofit boards, it's really helpful to have people, and school boards. We have 3 teachers on my school board. It's a little teacher heavy, but to have people from different perspectives, because everybody brings something else to the solution. And I had one of my first jobs. I worked for a bank as an in-house attorney, and they hired somebody else in at my level. And somehow or another, I found out that he was making $10,000 more than I was. And we had very similar years out of school and backgrounds. And so I went and I'm like, look, you need to give me a raise too. You told me this was the cap and I took it, but that was not okay. And there was a lot of hemming and hawing, and they were talking about cutting him back 5 and giving me 5 more. And I just kept at him. And after that, you know, was always like, what's the pay? We're not, you know, making sure when we were reviewing people and looking at salaries, like making sure that there was none of that going on, because it's not okay.
It's not, and good for you for advocating for yourself and holding your ground with that, because so many times, I think it's only 16% or something like it's a smaller number that of women that, or I think it's only that there's like a 16% difference between men and women when that advocate for each other. Or advocate for your own behalf and negotiate for that first salary, on leaving like I think an average of $2 million on our in our lifespan on the table, because we don't advocate for ourselves and negotiate for that first salary. And a lot of times it's feeling like you have the credentials. We as women, we want to check off. We see a job description. We want to check off every single one of them. A guy will walk in and say, I can do 1, 2, 3. I don't know about those. Okay, I'm applying. And we sell ourselves short a lot of times. And I think that it's important that we advocate for ourselves and that we negotiate for those raises and those promotions and recognition, and because we do have, and a lot of times we don't look at ourselves as leaders, but we are. Everyone's a leader within. And I was noticing in our leadership training one time, this woman had kind of an epiphany. She's like, I realize that every time I don't advocate for myself, I'm not only hurting myself and my family, but everyone that is to follow me. And so kudos to you for knowing then to advocate for yourself. Yeah.
Well, and I also think, at least for me, a lot of it's about bringing other people up too. You're right. I guess it starts here.
Yeah.
But bringing others along.
Oh yeah, reaching out and grabbing the hand of another and bringing them along to a board or position of leadership. And I think inclusivity. Martha Mertz, our founder, was told, that's what started ATHENA International. Was she was told women are not leaders 40 years ago, and she set out to prove them wrong and created this ATHENA Award, and then found these 8 principles to be common factors away from the old command and control style of leadership with this more inclusive style of leadership. It's really interesting. So where have you found positions to advocate for yourself or others along your life's journey?
Yeah, I found I did a lot of advocating when my kids were in elementary school. So whether it was there was a group of individuals that were underserved, or there were problems in the classroom and the kids needed more support. It wasn't a very easy path to walk, because it was just tenuous. There were a lot of factors involved there. But the kids got the support that they needed. And that was really important. And I had other individuals that I could reach to who knew way more than I did. I had a friend that knew school districts and all sorts of, the rules to be able to get things done and everything like that. And I had a lot of support.
Yeah.
One other area of advocating and kind of, being a role model. I had a friend who, she was like, you know what? I started my own business because I saw you being a businesswoman. And, it was like, that's that silent advocating, right?
Exactly.
Like, just
and inspiring.
doing the work and showing up and all of that. And she's like, so I had always wanted to have a dance studio that wasn't like the prim and proper, perfect dance studio where everyone's, it's just, she's like, I just wanted to teach dance to kids who wanted to dance and love it. And so she did that, and it was so exciting. And I didn't know that until she told me that, and I just, that makes my heart warm, and she was just a dynamo.
Yeah.
So.
You were living the principle, give back, without even realizing it, right? Because give back is not just of treasure, but of talent or inspiration or, How do you find other ways to give back to your community and to others?
I do a lot of service for the community and for the schools, serving on these various boards. I've done a lot of fundraising for various nonprofits and an extra lot for parcel tax and school bond measures. So I can get out there and knock on those doors and dial for dollars. Also just one-on-one, there's a woman that I work with that I met at a school event who's learning English, and she just got her GED. So I'm very proud of her for that. And we, we go for walks and do things
That's great.
together. Yeah.
How about you, Leanne?
She is so understated. She's a dynamo. I mean, she's everywhere volunteering in the community and has for many, many years. And I mean, I did a lot of volunteering. I'm not volunteering a lot now. But it was, in that 2008 to 2012, I was like on every single board and I was on the PTA and the Community Enhanced Learning. I was on the chamber board and,
Little
the
League.
PTA council. Yeah, I was on the Little League board doing, sponsorship and everything like that. So, I have done lots of that because I cared so much. I wanted to see it all succeed, and I wanted to help the kids, and I just loved it. And connecting with people. That was that whole community connector was just connecting with people in all of the aspects of my life. And then I just needed to kind of dial it back and take a break. But I just love the community. I really, really am fond of Mountain View.
That's
and
incredible.
The business community, and just we live here. This is where my kids grew up. This is where I learned how to be grown up and own a house, and I'm really grateful for it here.
Sounds like a really close-knit community of support.
Yeah.
And people really look out for each other.
Yeah.
I mean, even Little League, that was where I first met Leanne. Our boys are similar ages. And I thought it was just a sports league, for kids. And I realized the coaches are like, that kid's older brother is kind of flirting with gang stuff. Like, let's pull him in and have him umpire. And that one is kind of, let's give him a job. And I mean, it was about coaching and inspiring kids, but it was about so much more than that. And I had no idea. I just thought, you go cheer for your kid. But it really is, in this community is like that. And I'm so grateful and privileged to live here.
That's incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and having these conversations. And I want to thank Mountain View Chamber of Commerce for hosting us here today, and KMVT 15, and what an incredible community you have here, and an incredible community of leaders. And I love seeing how your community is pulling together to elevate women leaders from all around, from young on up, and setting the stage. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for the opportunity. It was good meeting you.
And thank you.